And just doing a quick video here on block theming for WordPress and WooCommerce sites. In particular, I'm going to use my own site as an example here. I've used this tech on a number of client sites, and I don't see why anybody would use any other system for building WordPress and Woo sites, since this is the core technology. And all of the progress we've seen in the last few years has been related to blocks. So first of all, avoiding some confusion about blocks, the block editor, which was originally called Gutenberg, is used for editing pages and posts unless you have the classic editor plugin installed to bring back the older style WYSIWYG editor. So you can still edit pages. For example, if I go to this page, I still get the edit page icon there in the admin bar if I'm logged in, and I can edit a page with the Gutenberg/block editor, the same as always. So that does not change with a block theme. What does change is you get edit site instead of the widgets area and the customizer area that you would have with a classic theme. So here it's edit site, and you see this throughout the site. But because my home page is a template in there and not an actual page, I don't see the edit page in here. So let's go into the edit site and have a look. Okay, so I'm looking at my front page template, as I could tell by the indication up here. And I can switch templates by clicking that icon and viewing my list of templates. I can also go outside of templates and edit the global styles for the site, as well as patterns. And I'd like to start with styles, because when you're starting one of these block themes, I recommend you do a blank block theme just to really get the hang of this, to remove any opinionated styles. You can certainly use a ready-made block theme, but I like the blank block theme. And there's a plugin called Create Block Theme, a free plugin by the core team that will spin that up for you, give it the proper name and everything. So it's just a couple little files that create a blank block theme, mostly empty files. So it just kind of sets that up for you. But your next step would be to come in here to styles and set your global styles, because whether I'm editing a home page or any other page or post in the site, probably going to want my fonts and my colors and my layouts, and maybe even some block settings like for button rounding and things like that. So this is really your style guide. They even have a little icon here for style book, where you could see how your settings work in all the typical blocks, including WooCommerce specific ones if you have Woo installed, Jetpack even, things like that. So this is very useful. It has revisions too, and there are some settings here. If you're not seeing your CSS, you can turn that on in here. Additional CSS, and there's also some settings. If I click these three dots and I go to Preferences, there's some interesting preferences here to take note of. So make sure you go through that. But anyhow, so this settings area, I mean, dismiss that bar. This is where I'm going to set up my fonts and the assignment of those fonts and sizes, colors. You can also have different style palettes, by the way, but I'm not going to get into that. That's a bit more advanced. But just assuming we have this one style palette here, here's default colors, and then I could set my own custom colors as well, and assign colors to elements. So within that color palette, what do I want to assign to base text versus background colors, link and hover, image captions, buttons, and headings, and also the background on headings there. And then layout is another area. What do I want my default content width or the default wide width setting? There's also a full width setting, and default padding and block spacing. So those are all things to kind of set up for your style guide before you can really get into work in these templates. They do sort of come pre-filled out with some stuff, but that's really where you want to start. And then the next part would be your templates. And when you're editing a template that includes your header footer, you could just edit that footer straight away, or you could click out, go into patterns, and find your header footer or any specific ready-made pattern that you want to include. You also have your own patterns or things that maybe you're sharing across different parts of your site. Like in this case, I had some affiliate banners, so I was sharing that across templates. So patterns are very useful. We could talk specifically about that, but for the purpose of this video, I don't want to dig too deep into patterns. But templates are very important to understand because you can have there's the ones that just already come in here from WooCommerce, but you can also add new templates as well. And these templates could be global or they could be tied to a specific item. So for example, if I were to click pages, I could make my all pages template, but I could also choose a specific page for an individualized template to be assigned to. So there's a lot really you could layer into that. But the core templates you're going to need, the ones I want to cover, is a 404. That used to be a file in the classic themes. Now it's a block template. Front page, you could also use a standard page if you have one already, but I do like to actually set a front page template because I typically want my front page to have a bit of a different look than just regular pages of the site. For example, I might have breadcrumbs on my all pages template, but on my home page I wouldn't have those. So this allows you to make that front page template really unique. Index that's the one that actually comes when you make a blank block theme. That one is for your blog archives, category search results. It's definitely a good one to start in. It's the loop as we used to refer to it. And then Woo is going to add order confirmation, cart. There's our all pages one we talked about. Woo adds checkout. It has a coming soon mode, which I haven't styled here yet. Product catalog, which is your shop all page, but that template also automatically fills your product attribute, product categories, products by tag, and then you can customize those individually if you want as well. And then Woo also adds a product search results. And then going back to WordPress now, we have our single post, and then back to Woo, single product template. Let's just click into this one. It's a nice simple example. And template editing is very similar to editing a page or a post in the block editor. You still have your little plus you can click to pick your blocks. You still have your list view if you prefer to view things in that sort of three-dimensional nested structure. And then when I click it, it highlights it in blue, so it makes it pretty clear what I'm editing. And you also have your inspector. So if I were to click on this this element here, it's the store notices block. Gives me a description. I have a basic animation plugin that lets me turn those things on. There's not a whole lot to this one, but if I click on certain other blocks, they're going to have more style settings. Do I want to change that text or link color to something more localized here than my global settings, or which font preset do I want to use, or in fact do I just want to customize it and do a hard set size. I do recommend presets because when you're in your global, and I can so easily switch to global, I don't want to confuse you by bouncing too much, but this is a great example where when I'm setting up my my sizes, I can turn on fluid typography. So if you're on a mobile device, it can make that font smaller. So if I do custom, I could say, well, it's a 16 pixel font, but maybe we go down to 14 if the screen is really small. So it's nice to use presets to get all of that. So definitely make sure you go through your global styles first. I'm going to click back to my inspector here. And so I can override that just for, say, these breadcrumbs if I want to in here. But it doesn't really make sense to do that. It's better to use our presets. So this product template, as you could see here, we are including quite a few product-specific items in here. So the product title, Woo Store breadcrumbs, Woo Store notices, product price, add to cart. This is a fairly basic template here. You can imagine how much more complicated they could get if you really wanted to nest deeper and deeper. Try to keep things simple, and I think this editor helps you do that. So another thing to point out is I have a header, but I have no footer here. And the reason why is this first group here is actually using the main HTML element. That's important for skip nav for accessibility. So all my templates, I have this outer wrapper or group, and I have it use the main element. There's other elements that you could use that may help clarify to crawlers or assistive technologies what a given section is, but you definitely want a main, for your nav to be able to do a skip nav. And I embedded the footer within that instead of having it outside. That's a design thing just because I have a background going around it. So I have a footer, within the main here at the end. It's just how I decided to do things. Every one of these sites is a bit unique. But in the header, we've got some really good things to kind of call out. You've got your logo, your navigation menu. I like to put the search within the navigation menu because it makes it available on mobile. If I click here and switch to the mobile view, I could see searches showing up in there inside of that mobile overlay menu, the hamburger menu. So that's something to think of for your header. Also, because we're talking about Woo sites here, you've got your My Account icon and your mini cart. And I'll show that on the front end as well. And all of these have settings if you open the inspector. So they let you do quite a bit. You're not going to have a setting for absolutely everything. That's where your custom CSS might come in. If I open that CSS editor, you could still get in and do that. But really the point of blocks is to not really be doing a whole lot of CSS. So keep that in mind. Let's have a look at how this is looking on the front end too. So that mini cart I talked about looks like this. And if I open the cart page or the checkout page, these are actually templates, not pages, but page/template we'll say. These are also using blocks. So these are partially editable internally now with blocks. So that's coming a long way too. And all this is changing. It's improving a lot. It's being polished quite a bit, but it's never going to be perfect out of the box. There's always some little tweaks to do here and there, but this has come so far, and it's so fast and accessible, and it's just built right into WordPress and WooCommerce. So you gotta use this system above all else. Let me know if you have any questions. You can email me, Sean, SEAN, at codedcommerce.com, CODED commerce.com. Thank you. Bye-bye.